Hello, this is day 27. At school this week, I have 3 exams in total. I had one today, I have another one tomorrow, and then I have another one on Friday. So I'm definitely not happy about the amount of exams that I have. The one today was for grammar, and then the one tomorrow is all the grammar from a textbook that we're using. So it's a total of about 25 lessons. I feel like that's just too much. That's like, I feel like a final exam is not even that much, right? When I was in university, the exams I had there wasn't as many things as that textbook, like the one I have tomorrow. So I'm definitely a little bit nervous for that one. I've been trying to study as much as I can, but I feel like it's also just so hard because I never used that textbook to study any of my Japanese, right? I use like Genki 1 and 2, but this one is like Mina no Nihongo, so it's like lesson 26 to 50, and I only studied like the last like 5 chapters, I think, so it's gonna be a little rough, but I'm hoping that it'll be okay. The test that I have on Friday is just a kanji test, so it's not gonna be too bad, but it's moments like these that makes me really wish that I could just write like 7 essays over trying to do all these exams. I've always been that way. I've always been like, I would rather write essays than do actual exams, because I feel like exams just make it so much harder, right? Like just doing exams is so hard in general. So I'd rather just write so I have actual like time, you know, like time to like think about what I want to say. Because like, especially when it comes to language learning, like Japanese, it's hard, right? And there's so many different ways that you could say so many different things. It's just like how it is in English, right? Like I could say one thing in so many different ways, but they're looking for like a specific way to say something, right? But like I feel like that makes it so hard to like know what they want us to say, kind of thing, right? That's why I feel like when it's like comes to learning grammar or like kanji tests make sense, because it's like there's only really like one way to read a kanji, like the word. If there's 2 kanjis or like 3 kanjis, there's only really one correct way to read it, right? Like for the most part. So it makes sense to have exams, like multiple choice exams for that. But when it comes to grammar, I feel like I'd rather just like write an essay using the grammar that we like learned, you know, like that we studied. I feel like that would be so much more like useful, right? Because then it's like you're actually using the grammar. Like for example, the test that I had today, I just memorized the answers because it was like based off of previous like practice tests that we did, kind of. So I just memorized all the answers. Like I think there was 12 practice tests in total, and I just memorized the answers. So it's like I'm not really learning because like I don't remember it now. Like if anybody were to ask me, I have no idea, right? Like I get it because it's like you're able to like do the practice exams and like do all this, and it'll help you eventually remember everything, right? But I feel like when you're just memorizing the answers, because that's all the time that I had to do was just memorize the answers. So it's like when you're actually using the stuff that you learned, I feel like that's when it's like you actually understand what you're learning. Because it was the same thing when I was in university and like taking psychology, for example. Doing those psychology final exams was probably the hardest thing ever, because there was so like everything's so subjective, right? Like especially in psychology, there's so many different ways to interpret everything, and there's so many different like things that could be right. They're like, oh, choose what you think is the best answer, but what I think could be the best answer could be somebody else's, like could be different from somebody else's, right? That's why I feel like it's so subjective in that sense, like especially psychology. So it's like, I don't know, I've always been the type of person to just rather like write an essay, right? And then even whenever I'm taking these exams, I always get so tired. Like at least after 2 hours, I'm just like so tired. 1.5 hours is like the maximum time. Like I'm okay, but like I'm starting to get super tired after 1.5 hours. So that's why whenever I've taken exams in university, I always finish like just over an hour. Like I had the test that I had today, we had 30 minutes to do it, and I finished it in 12 minutes because like I don't know, I just get so like nervous and anxious, and I'm like, okay, I need to finish this now, sort of thing, right? So it's like when I have super long exams, like the one that I have tomorrow, I'm afraid that if it's over an hour or two, that I'm gonna get so tired and I'm just gonna like stop caring about the answers. Like when I took the JLPT exam, for example, that wasn't too bad because it's only, I think the longest one is like 40 minutes or like 45 minutes or something, like in that range. So like that's not that long. Like I'm able to actually like think about things and everything like that, and then you have a break for like half an hour, like, or like 20 minutes at least, right? So it's like that gives me enough time to be able to kind of like take a break in between, let my brain rest, right? So I don't know, if I ever became a professor for a university, like a university professor, I don't think I would ever make students do exams, because maybe I would make them do them just to see how well students are understanding certain concepts and everything that I'm talking about. But I would prefer to rather have them like, I don't know, maybe write an essay, or I don't know, something that's just not exams, because it's like, I understand in such a setting like a university class there could be up to 200 students, so having multiple choice exam is probably the best option in terms of grading, right? And having essays takes so long and everything like that. But I just feel like to be able to really fully test somebody's knowledge, an exam is not the proper way to do it, right? Like I've always thought that, but unfortunately it's never going to change. Like how people think that exams are never gonna stop happening just because I think that they're like not very good, right? Because it's like I suck at them. But they're always going to be used as a main form of information. So for example, like if you're taking a language exam for a foreign language, or want to get into university, you have to take an entrance exam or anything like that, there's always going to be an exam for everything. You want to get certification, like if I want to be certified as a psychologist, I have to take an exam, right? But it's like, if it's more practical, then I feel like I'm okay, right? Like if they're like, oh, here's this case study, tell us what you're gonna do, kind of thing. I feel like that makes more sense, because it's like I'm telling them what to do. It's not just like, oh, what's the best choice? Because like obviously that's like, I don't know, I'm just over taking so many exams, and like I don't know, I can't really complain because I put myself in this situation. But I definitely think that exams like suck a lot.